from the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine first couple, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and his wife, Liza Araneta Marcos, left Manila on Thursday evening to attend the funeral of Pope Francis in Vatican City. In a palace press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro confirmed the departure of the first couple. The first couple will attend Pope Jorge Mario Bergoglio or Pope Francis' funeral at St. Peter's Square on Saturday, April 26th. Aside from President Marcos Jr., other world leaders expected to attend the late Pope's funeral include United States President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Argentinian President Javier Gerardo Milei, and Prince William from Great Britain, who will attend on behalf of his father, King Charles III. The pontiff died at the age of 88 due to stroke and irreversible cardiocirculatory collapse on Monday. After the service on Saturday, the remains of the late Pope will be moved to St. Peter's Basilica and later be entombed at the Basilica of St. Mary Major. President Marcos earlier declared a period of national mourning in the entire country, ordering Philippine flags to be flown at half-mast in all government buildings and installations until the pontiff's burial.
Dateline Malacañang.
In a related story, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has created a three-man executive committee to manage the day-to-day operations of the executive branch and ensure uninterrupted governance during his official travels abroad. The President signed and issued Special Order No. 424 on Thursday as he, along with First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, flew to the Vatican to attend the funeral of Pope Francis. The committee will be composed of the Executive Secretary as chairperson, with the respective secretaries of the Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR and the Department of Justice or DOJ as members. In his previous trips abroad, President Marcos has delegated government caretaker duties to Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, and Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrad Estrella. Under the order, the committee is authorized to act on the President's behalf in administering executive functions while he is outside the country, except on matters constitutionally required to be decided by the chief executive himself or those involving national security, including the organization of the military and police. All decisions by the committee must be unanimous. In case of disagreement, the matter will be referred to the President for resolution. The order also directs all government departments, agencies, and instrumentalities to support the committee in carrying out the functions of the Office of the President. Actions taken by the committee will be considered presidential acts unless specifically disapproved by the President. A written report of all decisions and actions must be submitted to the Office of the President within 5 days of his return.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will lead the opening of the East Asia and the Pacific International Public Procurement Conference, which will be held in Manila from the 28th to the 30th of April. Experts and officials from 15 countries will participate in the discussions on challenges and solutions on public procurement. According to Department of Budget and Management or DBM Secretary Amena Pangandaman, the discussions will feature the success of the Philippines on its procurement reforms, especially the implementation of the new Government Procurement Act, which she said is the biggest anti-corruption law of the new generation. The conference's theme, Procurement for the People, Bridging Innovation, Value for Money, and Accountability, will tackle issues such as sustainable spending, climate change, and participatory governance. More than 150 participants are expected to attend the historical gathering that aims to strengthen the procurement's role to the development of the region.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday expressed pride over 3 Filipino world travelers' rare feat of visiting all 193 member states of the United Nations. The President met with the 3 Filipinos at Malacañang Palace in Manila to honor their remarkable achievement that has been accomplished by just less than 500 people around the world. The distinguished travelers are Odette Ricasa, the first Filipino to complete the journey, Luisa Yu, the oldest at 79, and Kak Medina Umandap, the youngest and the first to achieve the milestone using only a Philippine passport. President Marcos said he wanted to meet the 3 Filipino world travelers to benefit from their experience given their dedication to achieving their dreams. The chief executive said Filipinos are popular worldwide for their innate hospitality and empathy. The travelers were accompanied by Donalito Bales, the founder of the global community of Filipino world travelers, during their courtesy call at Malacañang Palace. Bales gave President Marcos a book he authored titled Gala, Adventures of the Most Well-Traveled Filipinos, and released in September of 2021. The book features the stories of Bales, Ricasa, Yu, Umandap, and other inspiring Filipino travelers who shared their experiences and insights from their global journeys.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines has partnered with Singapore to elevate the digital leadership competencies of Filipino civil servants as part of the Marcos administration's efforts to make the Philippine bureaucracy more innovative and efficient. The Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA, on the Philippines Civil Service Digital Leadership Program, or DLP, was presented to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in a ceremony at Malacañang Palace in Manila on Thursday. The MOA was signed by Civil Service Commission, or CSC Chairperson Marilyn Yap, National University of Singapore's Institute of Systems Science, or NUSISS Chief Executive Officer, or CEO, Kun Chan Meng, and Private Sector Jobs and Skills Corporation, or P-Corp Chairperson Alfredo Ayala on February 12th. In a keynote speech, the President said, the collaboration brings his administration closer to realizing its aspiration of building a modernized public sector workforce. President Marcos said the early results of the initiative have come to fruition following the participation of the first batch composed of 30 representatives from the CSC who completed their pilot training in Singapore earlier this month. Let us listen to the brief speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
It was in June 2023 when the Private Sector Advisory Council Digital Infrastructure Sector proposed the Philippine Civil Service Digital Leadership Program. On February 14th of this year, they revealed the collaboration of various parties to come up with this Memorandum of Agreement. Now, the early results of this initiative have come to fruition. This month, an initial group of dedicated individuals, including 30 from the Civil Service Commission, or CSC, completed their pilot training in Singapore. They immersed themselves and brought back knowledge in understanding digital leadership, leveraging citizen-centric design, and making better decisions with data. Between now and 2027, the phase 2 of the program will train at least 10,000 of our civil servants. Equipped with the necessary skills and a renewed vision for public service, these civil servants will then be catalysts in leading the digital transformation of our bureaucracy from within. Thank you to our hardworking partners from the CSC, the National University of Singapore's Institute of System Science, and the Private Sector Advisory Council, through the Private Sector Jobs and Skills Corporation, for working on this extremely important initiative. We are also grateful for the efforts of our visionary supporters, the Temasek Foundation, and the SM and the Ayala Group. This collaboration brings us closer to realizing our shared aspiration of building a modernized public sector workforce. It's an opportunity now for us to rethink, to innovate, and serve our people better through technology, very important aspects in this digital age. With this, we see a renewed success in all that we do in government and in our service to the public.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Thursday, Malacañang assured the people that the 20 peso per kilogram of rice will also be available nationwide once issues about logistics are addressed. This was after Department of Agriculture or DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. announced that the pilot testing of this program will begin next week at the Visayas region. During a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that by next year, the government is aiming to allocate fund from the national government and relieve local government unit or LGUs from funding this initiative.
Okay, inaayos pa po ang mga maaaring issues tungkol sa logistics, pero ito po ay ipapatupad po talaga nationwide. At hindi lamang po ito ang naisin at aspirasyon ng ating Pangulo. At sa susunod pong taon, naisin po natin na mabigyan po ng sapat na pondo nang hindi na rin po kakailanganin ang anumang tulong mula sa LGUs. So, yan po ay bibigyan po ng pondo para po maibsan po talaga ang kahirapan sa pagbili po ng napakamahal na bigas. Kaya po naging pilot area po ang Visayas areas because nauna po na nagbigay ng kanilang pagbigay ng kanilang anunsyo na sila rin ay magkikipag-cooperate. Nauna silang magsabi na sila ay makikipag-cooperate para po makatulong din po sa naisin ng Pangulo, ng pamahalaan, ng gobyerno na mabagyan po ang ating mga kababayan ng bigas sa murang halaga sa 20 pesos kada kilo. At sa susunod nga pong taon ay mas nanaisin po ng Pangulo na ito po ay sagutin na ng national government. Pero kung meron pa po talaga ng mga LGUs na makikipag-cooperate pa po at kaya po nilang makapagbigay ng subsidiya, ito po ay tatanggapin pa rin po natin.
Meanwhile, the palace slammed the criticisms of Vice President Sara Duterte on the rollout of the 20 peso per kilogram rice. Palace Press Officer Castro accused the Vice President of sowing division and undermining the administration's efforts to improve the lives of Filipinos. The PCO Undersecretary also clarified that Visayas was chosen as place for pilot testing because it was the region's LGU who first showed interest and cooperation for the project, aside from the abundant stocks of National Food Authority or NFA rice from the region. Under the program, indigent Filipinos are eligible to avail the 20 peso per kilogram of rice, where every household will be allowed to purchase a maximum of 10 kilograms per week or a total of 40 kilograms per month.
Unang-una po, matagal na po nilang ini-issue na mukhang hindi kakayanin ng Pangulo ang aspirasyon na magkaroon at mag-deliver ng bigas sa halagang 20 pesos kada kilo. Ngayon po, na unti-unting natutupad ang aspirasyon na ito ng Pangulo, bakit muli na naman silang nagsasalita, nagiging negatibo? Muli, uulitin natin, ang gusto po ng Pangulo, ng Pangulong Marcos, ay ma-deliver sa taong bayan ang bigas sa murang halaga. Noon pa po ito. Pero ngayon po'y nagsusumikap ang ating pamahalaan, ang ating Pangulo na matupad ang aspirasyon na ito. Sana po sa mga leader, ang tunay na leader at tunay na Pilipino ay dapat sumusuporta sa kapwa Pilipino, lalong-lalo na sa pinuno ng bansa. Huwag sanang pairalin ang crab mentality at huwag maging anay sa lipunan. Magkaisa tayo para matupad ng Pangulo at ng pamahalaan ang mga aspirasyon para sa taong bayan. Na sabi po sa atin ni Secretary Kiko Laurel na kaya po Visayas, unang-una po, maraming stocks po ang NFA sa nasabing lugar at sila po ang naunang magsabi ng pakikipag-cooperate sa Pangulo sa pagbibigay po ng subsidiya. Kaya po nauna po ang Visayas areas. Ito rin po ay pinatotohanan po ni Governor Gwen Garcia. So bakit naman po natin haharangin ang magandang adhikain na ito, ang magandang goal na ito ng Pangulo na makapagbigay ng murang bigas at sa pangunguna po ito sa Visayas areas. Huwag po natin harangin, huwag po natin pagbawalan yung mga taong bayan na bumili ng murang bigas. Ito po ay muli para sa taong bayan, huwag natin mahayaang magutom ang taong bayan. Hindi porkit po mura ang bigas, sasabihin na panghayop ang nasabing bigas. Liliwanagin lamang po natin. Ang ibebentang bigas ay yung bigas po na nabibili ngayon sa halagang 33 pesos. So wag po nating maliitin ang mga farmers natin dahil local farmers po manggagaling ang bigas na ito.
That was Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. gave directives for the Department of Transportation or DOTR to ensure the protection of everyone from abusive drivers. This was due to the show cause orders to owners of 1,165 vehicles that were issued after they failed roadworthiness inspections. In a Palace Press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said, the government is committed to promoting road safety together with the help of the Special Task Force from the DOTR. The creation of the Special Task Force was ordered by DOTR Secretary Vince Dizon to review road safety policies and procedures to reduce road accidents.
There is this directive coming from the President that there should be more protection to the commuters, to everyone, from abusive drivers. Tama-tama lamang po dahil ito mismo ang direktiba ng Pangulo, ang utos ng Pangulo. At ito naman po ay isinasagawa ng DOTR sa pamamagitan po at pamumuno ni Secretary Vince Dizon. Kanya po, lumalabas po dito na yung na-revoke po ng license po ng ELS Bus Company at marami pong mga drivers na nasuspindi po. 671 drivers nasuspend po dahil sa nagpositibo po sa paggamit ng illegal na droga. So ito po ay napakaganda po dahil pinapakita po natin sa taong bayan na sila ay dapat na safe sa daan. At hindi po dapat abusuhin ang anumang binigay na pribilehiyo na ikaw ay maging driver sa kalye.
Meanwhile, the palace expressed support for the proposed measure preventing the detention of motor vehicle drivers who can provide sufficient proof of defense driving. However, Castro clarified that since there are instances wherein the one at fault is not easily identified, the authorities have the right not to release the people involved to have an appropriate investigation. Recently, the Land Transportation Office, or LTO, disclosed that about 671 drivers were suspended for various reasons. 574 out of 671 drivers were suspended due to road crash incidents resulting in slight physical injuries or death, while the remaining 97 drivers tested positive for drugs.
Dapat lamang po, kung hindi naman po makikita na may kasalanan, minsan kapag ka po nagkaroon ng vehicular accident, makikita naman paminsan-minsan ng mga investigador kung sino ba yung unang nagkamali. Siguro kapag ang investigador po ay nakita na ang isa ay siyang nabiktima o yung sasakyan ang mismong nadanyusan, hindi po naman dapat na makulong ang mismong nabiktima. Pero may mga pagkakataon po na sa pag-iimbestiga, hindi naman agad nakikita kung sino yung may sala. So, karapatan din po ng mga otoridad natin na wag muna palayain o magkaroon ng maagarang investigasyon para po kasama na rin po to sa due process.
That was Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.